Sometimes when you go to the movies and you walk out and you're like, what the hell did I just watch? That's my exact feeling walking out of this movie, good and bad. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new independent movie review. Today we're going to be discussing Wolf, which left me pretty speechless because this is a movie about a man who believes he's a wolf in a man's body. Jacob eats, sleeps, and lives like one, but to much of his shock, his family ends up sending him to a clinic, where Jacob and his animal-bound peers are forced to undergo increasingly extreme forms of therapy. However, once he meets the mysterious Wildcat, their friendship blossoms into an undeniable love, and Jacob must decide whether to renounce his true self for love. I've been really looking forward to this movie because of its debut at TIFF, and also in general because it stars the likes of George McKay and of course Lily Rose Depp, who I really love both as actors and actresses. But it's also directed and written by a new director that I've never seen anything of hers before, and I'm actually interested to go back and see what she's done before. That is Natalia Benchari. Maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm so sorry, but she wrote and directed this movie. And overall, walking out of the movie, I didn't hate it. I didn't even love it. But I liked it enough to say that I would recommend it if you're into these high concept art house dramas. If you're not, this movie is not going to be for you. And if you're coming to this review, I mean, I was pretty speechless walking out of the film because I didn't know exactly how I felt on the movie. Because part of me felt like, oh, it was fine. But there are a lot of great aspects to this movie and a lot of good things that I really can emphasize into it. It's just mostly a lot of my issues come down to the third act, I think is where it kind of started to lose me. But we're going to discuss all that and more. But guys, if you guys are new here and you also love talking movies just as much as I do, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so we can continue talking movies down below in the comment section every single day. As well, guys, let me know what your favorite independent art house drama kind of is in this kind of style. I'm so curious to hear your guys' thoughts. With any review of mine, I love talking about the pros because I'm all about film appreciation. The one thing I got to give it is the damn performance. They are so committed. This goes to every actor in here, specifically the ones that very much honed in their animal selves. Lily Rose Depp and George McKay really go out to show why they are two of the big growing actors right now. Lily Rose Depp, you know, obviously Johnny Depp's daughter. She's been in things before this, but necessarily I haven't seen a drama like this from her yet, where I've seen this in-depth, deeper, methodical, and in a sense, kind of a darker performance from her. This is a very vulnerable performance that I think she actually gave a lot to, and I was very impressed, to say the least, about her character, and I can't emphasize enough, this is easily her best performance yet, as well as George McKay, who I thought was phenomenal in this. I loved him in 1917. I love every time he shows up in a movie. He's great in this movie, and again, both of them embody these characters so well. You really believe that they are a wolf and a wildcat, and in general, any of the other characters in here who have these animal personalities. The thing I have to give credit to where credit is due is that these performances very much could have came off in a way of making fun of them, and this movie could have came off in a humorous style and a comedic style, and I think, you know, maybe that'll still happen for some, but my entire audience didn't laugh at all, which is a good thing. And I also will go as far as say I didn't laugh at all either. I maybe smirked once or twice here at some of the humor that's written into here, but overall it's handled in a very sensitive manner because this obviously is about mental illness and the thematics of that all, but as well as the deeper dive into the story and how it could possibly be held and how these kids feel being, you know, in a sense tortured because they just want to be themselves, and you know, where's that fine line of actually helping them to not helping them. And I think that's something that's actually happening in our world today. And I think the thematics on that are actually really strong, and I loved that aspect of it. And, you know, it never felt like it was banging you over the head like, hey, you better watch out for this. No, it felt very seamlessly and written into here that I didn't start thinking about it till I actually left the theater. Honestly, it just sat in my brain at the whole ride home until I got here to sit and talk about the movie, and I think it's going to continue to sit in my brain for a while. But again, very impressed with how they were actually able to get away with not making this feel in the sense of comedy. It very much is respectful to all those natures, and I really much have to accommodate Natalia on this because while the performances are great, it also comes down to the post-production and everything of that nature, and the directing and the writing. The writing's not strong. It could come off insensitive there. If it comes down to the directing isn't strong. It could come insensitive there. And even in general, the editing. If it comes down to the editing, and the editing is edited in a wonky way, it could become insensitive. But it's not. And the movie left me speechless because It is very different and unique than probably almost any other thing you will see this year, but it's something that I think we do need to take risks on films like these in general, because you might end up finding one of the most unique films you've seen all year long. And I think Wolf is one of the most unique films I've seen all year long due to the performances and due to Natalia's directing and writing here, because I did enjoy the first 2 acts of this movie. In fact, I would say I very much was into 75% of the film. The back half, the third act, is kind of where it started to lose me. I understood where it was kind of starting to go, and I was waiting for it to get to that point. Now, at 1 hour and 38 minutes, I think, is the entire runtime of what I clocked in right as I walked out of the theater, not including credits. I do think the movie is a little bit too long and kind of delves a little bit deep into that repetitive nature of certain things. One actor played by Paddy Considine, who's kind of they call him the zookeeper of this entire facility. It gets a little bit torturous there, and again, I understood the message going on, but again, it felt repetitive, and I think it really could have helped the pacing if you would have pulled back on maybe 1 or 2 scenes, or maybe 1 or 2 characters, and really focused in on our 2 main ones. It does get a little bit lost in what it's trying to say overall, in the same time of trying to tackle 2 major characters and actually give them a little bit more depth. And myself being a little bit confused at certain points. Also did find the movie to kind of drag towards the end. And when it got to the ending and it finally ended, I really sat through during the whole movie going, okay, this movie's either going to end in a very abrupt style or in a way that kind of gives me a little bit more questions answered. And some movies, it can end abruptly, and that's fine. That's how it should end. But for this movie in particular, it really should have ended in a way that kind of gave me a little bit more depth and meaning to everything going on. The way it ends, I was like, okay, well, that's kind of what I predicted from the beginning. That's where we are, and cool. Honestly, Wolf is a good movie. I liked it. I know there are some people out there kind of really hosting into this movie and burning it, but honestly, the performances are kind of speechless. They did a great job bringing these characters to life in an insensitive manner, and the same thing goes for the directing and writing. They all committed to the concept, and I have to give that major credit where credit is due. While the third act, in general, the ending completely lost me, I still would recommend this if you're going to see it on a matinee, or if you're into these high art house kind of dramas. Maybe this will be right up your alley. Again, it's not as bad as some other reviews are saying. I overall thought it was a fine movie that I might never watch again. It left me speechless, even with the ending that I didn't like. So with all that said, I'm going to give Wolf a C+. Once again, guys, for watching. You guys are seriously all the best. Let me know down below your guys' thoughts. Hit that like and subscribe button. Head on over to CMTron Films on how to see films early. And of course, a big thank you to you and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters, because without you, I would not be able to do this. So of course, until next time, stay classy.